Hello there. Welcome to Taylor's Trick-Taking Table. I'm Taylor. And as someone who has taken over 2 years to still not finish Dune, I'm not very good at books. But what I am good at is board games that look like books. Today, we'll be covering one of those. It's called American Bookshop. It's designed by Taika Waititi, famous film director from Thor Ragnarok and What We Do in the Shadows. What? Oh, that's a different person? Oh, do they make trick takers? They only make films? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. This is actually designed by Taiki Shinzawa, another prolific creative designer behind games such as Maskmen and Time Palatrix, Zimbabwe Trick. Some we'll be covering on this channel later. The hook of American Bookshop is that as you play tricks, you sum up the value on the cards played. If someone were to play a card where that value will raise the sum over a certain limit, the trick ends immediately, and that player wins the trick. Now let's go to the table, and I'll show you how to play. In American Bookshop, there's 13 cards in each suit. There are 2 zeros, and then 1 of each number all the way up to 11. There are 4 different suits in the game, all represented by different stories, say Don Quixote or The Old Man and the Sea. In a 3-player game, you don't actually have one of the suits. So as we set up here, I'll take out the brown suit for this setup. As you can see, a 4-player game and a 5-player game use all the cards. In addition, in a 3-player game and a 4-player game, you actually deal out all the cards equally to each player. 5-player game, you would deal out as much as you can and then put the rest to the side. In addition to player setup, this is also important because here is that all-important number for the player count. So in a 3-player game, 14 is what the limit is to bust. In American Bookshop, the first leader is determined in any method. Let's say it's the cat bus. So they decide to play a blue 5 as their first card. American Bookshop is a no-trump, must-follow game. So we look at Link's hand now, and they have to play a blue if they can. So looking at these, they have 3 options here. Now they can play the 3 to the trick, and since 5 plus 3 is less than 14, the trick continues and goes to the submarine. So now the submarine has to look at their cards and decide what to play. Now looking at this, let's say they wanted to play the 0. Since this is lower than the bust number, the trick actually goes to the highest played card, as normal. So in this case, Cat Bus would win the trick with a 5 blue. They would collect these 3 cards and put it below them in a tableau sorted by suit. Cat Bus now has 3 blue. So far, they're winning in blue. Let's say they play this blue 2. Link now can play either the 8 or the 10. Let's say they played the 10. Now it comes to Submarine. Submarine's hand looks like they are going to go over 14 no matter what. So let's say they play this 4. Now normally, in a trick taker, this 10 would win it because it's the highest of the lead suit. However, 4 pushed this total sum past the limit of 14. So Yellow Submarine actually wins the trick and takes these, and they go in front of them. Now it's Submarine's turn. Let's say they didn't want green, and they wanted to push green for someone to bust. Let's say they play the 11 here. It comes to Cat Bus, and they have a choice between these here. It looks like they could play a 2 to play it safe, but let's say they played this 4. Now, since 15 is higher than 14, this trick ends immediately. So Link doesn't even get a chance to play. Cat Bus will collect their trick, just those 2 cards, and then they'll lead the next trick. So why would you want tricks or not want tricks in this game? So it turns out that at the end of the game, the scoring depends on if you have the majority of the cards in the suit. So if you look over here, Link has 4 blue, whereas Submarine has 9 blue. So each card is worth 1 point if you have majority. So that's 9 points for Submarine, but each card, if you don't, is worth -1. So Link has actually -4 over here. They do have majority in green, however, so that is 7, but then again, not the majority in pink. So they got 7, but lost 7, so they ended up with 0 points. If you're tied, like Cat Bus and Submarine are in pink with 5 each, you actually still get negative points per card. So Cat Bus is sitting at -8 here, which is not that good of a round. So let's say it's Cat Bus's turn. This is the final trick, because they only have 1 card left. So they lead with a 5 green. Let's come to Link. Link has an 11 blue and a 9 pink. Since it's offsuit, they can play whichever they want. So getting 1 more blue is just a negative point, and another 5 is also a negative point. So let's say Link plays this 9 pink. This 9 pink and the 5 green get to 14, which busts, because you only have to be at or above the limit. So then Link wins this trick, it goes here, and since Cat Bus is out of cards, the round ends. So when you have extra cards in your hand, what's really cool is you can optionally score them. So Link's looking at this blue and is like, no thanks, they don't score. Yellow Submarine looks at this, and so they are actually tied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in green with Cat Bus. So if they put down this 1 more green, that's 6 points and minus points for them. And then we look over here, they have 5, whereas Cat Bus has 6. So they're also going to put that one down. They lose 1 more, but then Cat Bus goes from 6 points to -6 points. So you'd count up the points, and you would play more rounds equal to the number of players. So in this case, 2 more rounds. The player with the most points chooses the next dealer, who's also the next leader of the start trick of the next round. And if you play that out, most points wins. And that is American Bookshop. I really, really like this game. It comes across in every facet. The design of the cover being a book, the instructions, actually, there's a guide to how you can cut the seam and staple so it reads like a book when you're reading the rules. The suits being a book, it's just very clean, very thoughtful. Graphic design as well, very intuitive. I guess the story behind it was the designer was working in a bookshop in America, and their manager caught them playing card games. And so in spite, they made this the theme. And it is just so smooth from a gameplay point of view. The trick-taking doesn't feel forced or that it plays itself. The 2 zeros really do help with that. And there's moments where you will play a hand and it'll almost sort itself. Like one player will get a whole suit, another one will get another suit, and then maybe some straggle cards will go to different players and they'll get some minus points, but it won't be that bad. And then there's hands where maybe more than 2 players will just fight super hard for a suit. And that is almost when it's at its best. You can see it happening mid-round too. Maybe 2 players both took 3 cards and you're like, ooh, there's not that many, and they're starting to split it still, and it gets near the end. Those moments as well when someone goes out and that last card that someone holds, you know, if you know someone over there has 1 last card and you have 3 or 2, right? You know, oh man, like I can actually secretly score with these, and it's huge. So the surprise at the end is amazing for a trick taker. That is just so simple. The trick taking is super fluid. I know a fluid trick taker is a big thing for a lot of players. The getting in a groove, and it's never overly wrought. The fact that there's no trump and the fact that you must follow is just so nice. There's some really interesting gameplay in terms of when, especially at the start, when to decide which suit you're going for. So getting no tricks in this game doesn't give you anything. So you're always going for something. and making that choice and when to make that choice is really interesting in this game. And I totally understand why this was one of the finalists in the Golden Trickster for this year. It's such a clean design. I feel bad that two amazing games came out the same year. It's crazy to me how Japan trick takers are just always innovating, and not necessarily in twists that are overwrought, but twists that are under the nose of everyone. The ones that when you tell them and explain this to people, people are like, oh, okay, yeah. The concept that people have different number of cards too is something I love, and that tension when it ends a little earlier than a certain player will expect is just so great. And that is American Bookshop. I can definitely see how this designer is one to watch. I have loved everything they've put out. They're prolific. It's a shame that Japanese trick takers are hard to get to America. I'll include in the description a link to the English forwarding site of how I got a hold of American Bookshop. I think you can play it, you can make it with a standard deck, because it's just 4 suits and 13 cards. I think everyone should give it a shot. It's probably an amazing intro trick taker too. I know it twists on the formula, so maybe you'd want a different one to show someone first, but the rules are just so clean. Anyway, I think this wins whatever award I could give, so put that on the screen. Anyway, thanks for watching.